SELinux enforcing versus permissive. That is the topic for today's discussion about Android custom ROM basics. So, as always, all the relevant links are in the description of the video. Now, SELinux stands for Security Enhanced Linux. This is a security architecture for Linux systems which lets you have access control. It was originally developed by the National Security Agency, or what we know as the NSA from USA. That rhymed, didn't it? Anyways, now another thing you need to know is that Android, of course, is heavily inspired from Linux. So they also have their own SE Linux. The basic concept remains the same. So let me pick up a real world example, right? Let's say you have an IT office, or say an IT company, right? Therein you have a bunch of different employees. Say you have four floors. The first floor is the reception. Then you have wherein all the IT professionals work. Now, other than the IT professionals, you also have the security guards, the workers, the people who clean around the office. So you have all different kinds of people working in the same environment in the same office building. But let us say you are a security guard. Now, I mean, no offense to anybody, but let us say you are a security guard. You are not coding, you are not doing the computing part. So you do not need access to, say, the room which has the computers, right? You don't need access to that. Similarly, let us say you have a room wherein you have all the cleaning supplies. Now, as an IT professional, someone who codes, I do not need access to that, right? Why would I need access to a room which has cleaning supplies? So this is what is known as access control. Similarly, in Android, you have applications, processes, a bunch of other things running. So let us say you have a process which accesses your pictures and videos. Now, this process needs access to internal storage, but does it need access to, say, the camera? It's not taking pictures, it's only showing you the pictures which have already been taken. So it does not need access to the camera. Does it need access to the microphone? No, it does not need access to the microphone. So how do you enforce this? You enforce this using SE Linux, and you need to write the rules for that this specific application has access only to the internal storage. It does not have access to camera and microphone. Who writes these rules? For Android, AOSP, Google does. For custom ROMs, the developer has to do it in case he faces any issues with SELinux. So that is how you enforce the access based on the process, the application, and a bunch of other things in Android. So that is the basics of SELinux. Now, SELinux is available in two modes. First mode is permissive and the second mode is enforcing. The permissive mode, what it does, it is going to check the permission denials, right? So let us say a guard tries to access a computer room. It will log it, but it will also let the guard access the computer room. So that is your permissive mode, wherein everything is logged but not enforced. Then you have the enforcing mode. Herein, the guard will not be allowed access to the computer room, and it will also be logged that he tried to get access to the computer room. So that is your enforcing mode, wherein the permission denials are logged and enforced as well. So the next question you will ask me is, why does permissive mode exists? It exists so that as a new application developer, I can test out my application, see what all things are being logged in permissive mode, something which I should not be doing, and then I can fix those, because eventually when it goes to the Play Store, it's going to be on an enforcing device, hopefully. So in that case, my app might not work, which is why the permissive mode exists, basically for debugging, writing the SE policy, fixing the SE policy issues which have been implemented by Google and the custom ROM developer. Why do developers, or why is there this thing on the internet which says you should not run a permissive device? The simple answer is this. It's like You have security, but it is not being implemented. It's only being logged. So the worst example of this is any application in the background can get root access, which is very dangerous. Now, this is the worst example, doesn't mean you stop rooting your device or you start thinking that rooting is dangerous. Rooting is not dangerous. The app you installed, the permissions it got, the shady app you installed, the pirated app you installed, which was waiting and looking for a system which is rooted and permissive. So it's not that routing is bad, it's that the app, the shady app, the process wants to steal your data, which is why it is asking for root access in the background without your knowledge. So that is the worst case scenario of a permissive and a rooted device. So it all but makes it obvious that you should have an enforcing build. It is the safest way to go around on custom ROMs rooted devices. I hope that helped you out.